Hello and welcome to the Business Tech Insights podcast. I'm Brad Nelson, your host, and today I am joined by Nick Connolly from BGP Advisory. Nick, can you give us a quick introduction of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you, Brad, for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Nick Connolly, BGP, based out of Chicago. So BGP Advisory is it's an advisory firm that specifically zeroes in and helps property management companies who are scaling and growing. It started as a fractional CFO firm and was a fractional CFO company for about 2 years. We called ourselves industry agnostic. We said we want to work with anyone as long as you're growing and as long as you have the same passion for data KPIs and foundational strong accounting and finance. As long as you have that same passion we do, we're a good fit. We had fun with it. We learned a little bit more about ourselves. We learned a little bit more about our zones of genius, respectively, throughout the team, and decided to make our way back to real estate, which is actually where I met you in real estate in Chicago. And we've been recently pivoting back to be an advisory company, specifically to help property management, leasing, maintenance companies scale. We're really excited about it. It's a new elevator pitch as of the last 60 days, but the new business model has been working really well. So that's BGP. And then we've got another, so we're advisors, consultants helping other operators grow and scale. And then we do also have a property management company in Chicago where we actually, prove that we know what we're talking about and prove that we can do it and prove that we can manage properties and prove that we can do it at a high level. The theory being, let's build that, let's prove we can do it. And then if anyone wants to approach property management the way we do, because we are pretty, not rigid, but specific about the way we talk about property management and a people first mentality. So that's BGP. It's now a real estate human sustainability company is how we talk about it. So it's real estate. Everything we do is real estate, and everything we do is about human sustainability, which is the layman is just improve the lives of those around you, do it together. As long as you've got that mentality in business, it's always gotten me to the next step, whatever that is. So that's what we focused our business model on.
Very cool. So I want to ask you, so yeah, like you said, we met in real estate, and at that time you were the CFO of a real estate company. How was the transition from going from an executive at a company working for somebody else to becoming your own business owner and running your own company?
It was a journey. It wasn't like, if you talk to my wife, she'll tell you that I was always going to be an entrepreneur, right? Like I've always talked about you could start this business, start that business, but also at the company where we were working together, it was a special company. I really enjoyed my job there. I told anyone who would listen that I would happily retire there. I meant it. And it was, I was, and I think a majority, I would say all of, the leadership team was bought in on the people first mentality and actually being willing to make the time and energy sacrifices to build a community. I think actually I'd be curious to hear your views, but from my perspective, it wasn't always perfect and we didn't always do the perfect job, but we genuinely tried, and you could see that impact and feel that impact. And so it's, the opportunity to learn that and experience that and practice that at a company that I didn't have to build from the ground up was incredible, because to answer your question, the actual experience of going from running this company with all of these people, and the focus is always what's going on with the people and what issues are the people experiencing and where are their growth opportunities, how are you supporting them, and that it's everything. And you go from that to, how am I generating revenue? How am I singularly? And I started with business partners, so that helped soften this part of it. But it was still going from this team and this machine of like having to be 4 steps ahead to, you're not, if you're planning 4 steps ahead, you're missing putting all of your time and energy to that next step, which is bring in $1 of revenue to prove that you're capable of bringing in $1 to build around something. But no matter how much experience you had at your last position, like the minute you start your own company, you're the sales team. And if you can't look someone in the eyes and convince them to trust you, not just sell your service, but like just trust you is day one of a startup. You just have to, you got to find people to bet on you and take a chance on you, because no matter how good you are, you haven't proven anything yet. So it's super humbling, I would say, because no matter what you used to get shouted out before in the old world, the startup will put a mirror up to you and show you all the areas you are not, I'll say not good enough, but I mean it a little softer than that. I mean it in a positive growth kind of way.
Sure, sure. It's, I don't know, it's important to understand your own shortcomings and
Yeah.
work on that. Or if you're able to hire that part out that you're not good at to somebody who is good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say too, and maybe you feel the same way, when you're working for another company, you know, you have a certain level of responsibility within that company, but then when you are running your own company, like you said, you have to wear many different hats, and all of the responsibility falls on you. And not just for your work specifically, but for everybody working under you. They it all reflects your leadership and your abilities and stuff to a certain extent.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything. Like you said,
Everything.
Even
Yeah.
the
You're
things you didn't
responsible.
think.
You're responsible for everything. Yeah. So
And it is. And oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. Go for it.
I was just going to say, as you build the team too, and people come on board, it's uncanny and fascinating and humbling again. Whatever habits you started the company with, whatever exceptions you made, whatever you said, I'll figure that out, whatever habits you're showcasing at the time that employee starts, that's now your culture. And those are the habits they're going to pick up. And that's what they're going to emulate, whether it's something you're proud of or something you're not. They're going to see your habits. They're going to see your actions. They're going to say, that's how we do things here. So it is, there's also this, like, every time we would grow to the point where we could bring someone on, there's this like, oh, I'm responsible again. Like, to your point, like, oh, I'm okay. I don't care if I wake up tired. I'm now a role model again. And that's like, it's just another weight on top of like the weight of keeping the business alive is like, okay, now people are paying attention to how I show up every day. I got to show up the way I say I'm going to show up. And I got to like, I have to know myself, because I can't say how I'm going to show up if it's misaligned with who I am. So like, who am I? And then you go through a year of that, and then you figure it out, and then things start to click. But it's such an introspective process, I would say.
Oh, definitely. Usually a very painful one too. In a,
yeah.
like you said, like in a growth way. Like, hopefully, you learn from the pain and get better rather than just stew in it and fail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now,
and if you're vulnerable enough, then go post that story online so that someone else can read it and be like, I'm going through that. And they'll never tell you they read it, and they'll never, like, it's just, that's part of the process too. It's like, here's all the uncomfortable things I hope nobody ever knows about me. Post.
Yeah.
So you got to come to terms with that as well.
Well, how do you balance that? How do you share those stories to help inspire other people and to help work through it yourself without with maintaining your own personal privacy and that sort of thing?
Yep. That's a big one to me, because I don't really like, I would say I'm super open and vulnerable at this point in the things I post about. But if you scroll, I don't think you would see a single picture of like my daughter or my wife in anything I've ever posted. It's just not where I go. But the lessons I learned in business, there's always a personal life parallel. The growth that happens over here always benefits over here, and the growth that happens over here always benefits over here. But I am intentional about not bringing them into it. If my wife volunteers, that's one thing. My daughter's only 2, so in my opinion, she's not, until she can say like, yeah, Dad, throw me on LinkedIn, she's not going to get put on LinkedIn. But so I always try and balance like the truly personal things I don't feel comfortable sharing because it's not mine to share. But if it is mine to share and it is my story, I try not to have a reason not to share it. If it is truly like a failure, or if it could provide value to someone, even if I don't know them, I try to swallow my pride and post it. If it's a violation of someone else's privacy, then I'm hyper on the side of like, that doesn't belong online. It's not. So that's kind of my line. And it used to be nothing about me gets put online. You could go to my Facebook, scroll back 10 years, and like, it just exists. There's no social media presence. I wasn't on Instagram. I wasn't really posting on LinkedIn. It was once we had not just started BGP, I was still kind of like, I don't need to be the face of anything. I don't need to post anything. We can do traditional sales and marketing channels. We can figure that out. There's AI now. We will figure out cold calling. I don't need to be online. But then you reach a point where like you go through some of that growth and introspection we were talking about, and you learn some of those lessons, and you're like, I actually know what I'm doing now. Not like I'm good at this, but like I know my direction, and I'm willing to fail as many times as it takes to like keep achieving in this direction. And I don't really care if anyone disagrees with my message anymore. I'm sure there's so many people that see what we post and they're like, all right, that's a little silly, or that like, what's the, like, I'm sure there's feedback. I'm sure there's criticism, but I don't care at this point. Like all those people, if there's anyone my message doesn't resonate with, amazing. Like shoot me a message and let me know, or like unfollow, or like, let's prune the network, or disagree with me publicly. Like that's fun too. Engage with it. Let me know where I'm wrong, where the gaps are, but like know who I am. And if it's not for you, that's cool. And if it is for you, amazing. You wouldn't have known to interact with me if I wasn't posting this stuff. So it's more flipping to that mentality of like, I've been around enough years, like I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'm just not. And so like to be myself out there online, I'm just going to end up talking to more people who do enjoy this, as opposed to people who like don't know what they're in for.
For sure.
What
Well,
about you? What's your answer to that?
I mean, I'm the same way. I don't post anything about my family online. And my wife and I have we have a rule that nobody's allowed to post photographs of our children on social media. Just because I want to give them the so many people are so open in public with things that they shouldn't be open in public about. I mean, I agree with you that sharing your failures and sharing your stories can help other people work through things that they're doing. And it also helps build your brand and what your company is about and what you yourself are about. And that's a good thing. And that's something that I have realized recently too, because for the longest time, I didn't post anything online.
It's hard.
It is. Well, and social media sucks. Let's just be honest. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but I want to give my children the opportunity to decide when they're old enough to understand the implications of posting things online. I want to give them the option to either post things online or not. I don't want to be putting their entire life online for anybody to look at without their consent, without them understanding what the implications of that are. And with a lot of the AI stuff now, being trained on whatever it can grab, I don't necessarily want those things taking advantage of my children and my family. So yeah. And that balance is hard. For the longest time, I didn't have any social media, and the social media I did have was not tied to my likeness or my name. It was just a moniker with some sort of avatar. But I've changed that now because, like you said, it's my stories can help other people too, and I almost feel as though there's a duty to share that to a certain extent.
Yeah. Yeah, and it it gets reinforced. Kind of like that you use the word duty. Like there are, it's now been probably like a year and a half that we've been not consistent, but posting at least a few times a month. And it's now like not weekly, but every other week, a couple times a month, where it's somebody who I don't even know I'm connected to them on social media, or it's like a new client that I had no idea, and they'll like reference a post or a story or something. And it's kind of like, kind of wild because I've never, again, I'm coming from like not being used to my stories being out there, or people knowing things about me before I've like looked them in the eye and told them that thing. And generally I have a good, understanding for where I'm at with relationships with people and the conversations we've had. And now it's like, people will be like, yeah, the post from yes. It's like, cool. It's cool. It's cool that that resonated with you. It's cool that you read the whole thing or watched the whole thing. Super flattering, but like, it's kind of a new world for me that people care enough to read. It's fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, it goes back to that duty. It's like, okay, well, I have navigated some pretty tough times. And not always ended up on top, but at least navigated them. So that's worth sharing, because everyone's always going through something. You just don't know what.
Yeah. And well, when you fail, then you've learned something, or hopefully you've learned something from your failures.
Right.
Yeah. If you're doing it right. Yeah. And to go back what you said earlier too about posting something and people disagreeing with you. Honestly, I kind of feel like if you don't make any enemies doing that sort of thing, then you're not doing it right, because that means you're not putting any sort of true opinion out there. There's going to always be people that disagree with you, and that's okay.
Yeah. I think our version of that is like the message we have as BGP is be good people. But my angle on it is all like, I'm not everyone that's interacted with me in a work setting is like, that Nick is such a good guy. Well, it's like, people always say I'm fair. Most people will say I'm kind about most things, but there's plenty of people who we've had an interaction or there was direct feedback or they're like, so the nuance to me has always been, and Mary and I talk about it constantly because we have to, but like, what does being a good person even mean? Like, what does it mean in business? How do you navigate tough feedback conversations? How do you create a culture of high performance and legitimately commit to being a good person all the time? Can you? Well, what's the difference between being nice and being kind? So there is all like, we try the message, be good people in and of itself is tough to disagree with. I would say 99.999% of people around the world identify as a good person, but it means something individual to all 8 billion, and something unique and something nuanced. So it's kind of like, how do you take the message, be good people, and not make it controversial, but like find the business nuance behind it and like talk about it and explore that gray area? Because there's plenty. There's plenty, especially if you believe most people are good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I sometimes I wonder if you can be kind and not a good person, and also be not kind and still be a good person. There's times, well, and as like when you're doing your fractional CFO stuff, were there situations where you would bring on a new client and their finances were just totally messed up, or they weren't following the numbers like they're supposed to, and you had to be firm and maybe not, super kind, but you were doing what was actually going to help them succeed?
Yeah. And Mary and I just like had a conversation about this like a week or two ago, and I just approved something related, like a video that we recorded related to this. So it's top of mind, but it comes up all the time in my approach to finance, because it's very often are you delivering news that people don't want to hear. Or you have to really go out of your way to put the people spin on it, or a positive spin on it. When you're talking about cash flows and numbers, for a lot of people, it's green or red. It's you're either up or you're down. So So when I'm approaching a new client from the fractional CFO side, I always look at it as the most valuable thing I can do is tell them the truth. And if it's a hard truth, to say it as blunt and firm as possible, because if it's scary for me to say it, imagine how scary it would be for their in-house accountant to say, or for anyone on their team to say or uncover. So I kind of enjoy those situations where I find myself feeling a little bit of discomfort because the news I'm delivering is, I know it's not going to go over well, but it's like, I'm the consultant, I'm the advisor, I'm literally there to feel that discomfort. That is part of my fee structure. This is what I consider, like, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to say the thing that the client doesn't want to hear because they hired me to find it and to say it. And I'm not ever going to sugarcoat anything. And that takes practice. And you don't, like, I told Mary, like, sometimes you are the messenger that gets shot in those situations, but it's not the worst part of the job if you know it's coming and you know that, like, the person across from you is just having a human reaction to something that triggers a human reaction. Money, for like a lot of people, a lot of business owners, a lot of executives, and it'll throw people into a fight or flight situation. And sometimes they're not going to stand up and roll up their sleeves, but they get ready to fight. And, like, I'm comfortable. Like, like, let's talk about it with that energy, but I'm always sure of the numbers. I'm always sure, so we enjoy those situations because we've been in them for so long, and especially Tom's on the team. And he's been in so many of those situations as well throughout our careers. So I look at it as like a way we can add tremendous value because not everyone is as comfortable with it as we are. But it definitely, the way to do the job is to just say what's going on without any sort of frame. Like, there's storytelling to finance. I'm actually super passionate about that. But the storytelling is not dressing up what happened. It's not sugarcoating. It's not talking in circles around it. The storytelling is engaging with your audience in a way that really delivers exactly what's going on, in a way where they understand it and can use that information to make better business decisions. So yeah, even the clients that would refer us and recommend us, I don't know that every single one would be like, Nick is such a nice guy. He's so sweet. Because that's just not how I show up in those situations. It's not my job in those moments.
Yeah, well, but hopefully they would say, Nick is straight to the point and he helped us, get on the right path. Yeah.
Yeah. Very blunt, that Nick Connolly. Very, very direct.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you have to be doing what you're doing.
You do.
I mean, I have to be blunt with my customers all the time about their security posture. That's the big thing, is a lot of people are really lax on security, and being really blunt when something happens, when something bad happens, or we try to prevent things from happening, being blunt about their security posture and saying, like, hey, this could lead to X amount of dollars lost, or this could lead to, X amount of productivity loss, or whatever. It's not usually a fun conversation, but it's one that has to be had. Yeah. So what kind of technologies do you guys use to like, what kind of software and technology do you guys use for yourselves and for your clients to help get the data that you need and to help keep everything organized?
So we're a Microsoft company. I don't know if that's a bad thing to say, or is that, like, are you Google only? Did I just
Google?
Did I say the wrong thing?
Well, personally, I don't like Microsoft or Google. However, for most businesses, like, Microsoft 365 is the way to go. We're completely open source. We self-host everything, and all our computers run Linux, but that's a little too advanced for.
Yeah, we couldn't do that. I wouldn't even be able to log in to a Linux computer. It's been a while since I've command prompted anything. Is command? Yeah. Anyway, moving on from that.
I mean, the Linux on desktop has come a long way. So I would say, like, 10 years ago, it was the truth where, there were those memes where people are typing furiously at a command prompt just to install a web browser. That was probably true like 10 years ago. It's not that way anymore. There's still a lot. I use a command line interface every single day, but
Okay.
I'm doing more advanced stuff on the computer than most people.
I did about 10 years ago. I partitioned a hard drive and set up Linux on it because I had like a little side project I was building, and I could like I had to have a separate computer where I was Googling everything as I went, but
Uh-huh.
I could interface with it. Like
Okay.
I got to a point where I could talk to my computer, and that was I'll always brag about it in conversations like these. But yeah, Linux, running a company on Linux sounds very stressful and overwhelming.
uh, I've been running almost exclusively Linux personally for man, at least a decade.
Okay.
I've been um using Linux for over 2 decades, but usually it was for a while it was in tandem with like Windows and Linux, depending on what I was doing and that sort of thing. Um,
Yeah.
but it was probably about 10 years ago that I basically switched completely over to Linux on everything.
Huh.
But it's a that's definitely not for the everyday person,
Yeah. And do you find, I will answer the question about the tech
Yeah,
stack, but do you
sure, sure.
find it pays continuous dividends for you? Like do you ever bump into roadblocks with it, I guess, where you're like, why did I do this? Or is it just smooth sailing because of your expertise and your team, and
Uh,
it's only positive?
well, there's definitely roadblocks. There's
Okay.
always roadblocks in technology. Uh, Over the years, the roadblocks have gotten smaller or have gone away. But there's something to be said. So, like if you're using Microsoft 365, for example, it's hosted on cloud servers, and they have an entire team of people working behind the scenes to keep everything running smoothly. Uh, so if you have a problem, it usually gets fixed pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you're self-hosting everything on your own servers, and something goes wrong, it's you have to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody to call necessarily. You can call people that maybe know more than you to get advice on what maybe is going on, but yeah, you have to maintain all your own stuff, which is
Yeah.
an extra thing, but it has definitely reduced our monthly software cost, and
Yeah.
we're in control of everything too, which I really like. If you're storing things on a cloud server somewhere, um, you're when you store stuff on the cloud, you're just storing it on somebody else's computer. So if you're storing things with Microsoft or Google, your information is only as safe as far as you trust that company.
Yeah.
And I personally have very little trust with a lot of those companies. So
Yeah.
that's part of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Um, yeah. So we went all in on Microsoft from the beginning. I've used I've used Microsoft my whole career. The team has mostly as well. I've used Google a little bit here and there, but so in terms of like communication infrastructure, we started with O365 as a foundation, which gives us Excel, which we need on the fractional CFO side. That's actually our, believe it or not, even with everything coming out and all the different, AI for spreadsheet and all of that, we still foundationally we go back to Excel, and we probably will for a couple of years to come, even with all the helper tools out there. Um, so communication infrastructure is O365. File storage is also SharePoint O365. Accountability and task management, we've played around with a few softwares. We use one that we used in the old world. It's called Reich. And
oh yeah,
that's one of like the first softwares we set up because accountability, um, even just like me and Mary, the way we are built, we can sit around and daydream all day and have fun conversations. But if we do not hold each other accountable to what we said we're going to do, neither one of us is built to be able to build a business without that partner accountability. So we've always kind of known that about ourselves. And as you kind of scale, it's always helped to have that set up for the rest of the team as well, that accountability, the task management. I have very strong opinions on how far you take it. I'm like, when it comes to task management and accountability, I'm a big fan of like, have something, check it every day, have that accountability partner. There's a line though. There's a line where you've gone too far and you've over leveraged an accountability software to the point where you've turned it into micromanagement. And that's a hard line to set in stone and say we found the line and we know where it is forever. I look at it as something you have to evaluate by team. You have to know the personalities on your team and how to use Reich with each person. So I'll caveat everything I say on this call, but everything's a balance. Everything's a dichotomy. Everything's got nuance to it. But our accountability software is it's a core part of what I consider our tech infrastructure. 0365 Reich. We use, from an AI standpoint, we'll use Claude. We've got some subscriptions, but we're pretty specific in how we use it. We haven't rolled out AI on the client delivery side just because the security side of it is something I want to go slow and be intentional about. And I've never felt comfortable just like setting up a Claude account and determining it all well and good and safe to use from like a client security standpoint. And we haven't needed it so urgently that it's been worth like carving out a week and just deep diving and figuring out what it would take to feel comfortable and set it all up. So AI we use to make our lives easier internally, but we haven't integrated it into our core processes or anything. Goodness gracious. And then password security, we've got like an app. Email, we actually use like an app that sits on top of Outlook that allows us to communicate more efficiently. It's almost like a ticketing software that sits on top of Outlook and allows us to make sure that, because in property management, you want to be responsive, and we want to give our PMs all the tools that they need to not get inundated with 200 emails a day and get lost in it. And that's a reality of the industry and a reality of the position. So that's really how we look at it. We invest in technology where there are clear solutions to make our teams' lives easier, and then we hold them accountable to the standard we're trying to set. But we will, as things pop up and as problems pop up, our whole philosophy is try and invest in out-of-the-box software. Not opposed to customization if it fits a very specific business need that'll be there 5 years from now. In fact, I enjoy those types of projects. We've worked on a couple projects like that are fun and like challenging, and I love that stuff, but I will always try and go out of the box when I can. Yeah, that's our overall. Did I answer the question, or is there like an answer to that question that wasn't hit on?
Oh, no. I
Okay.
think that was yeah. If that's what you guys use, that's what you guys use.
And that's our philosophy. We try and keep it simple, but make the most out of the things we sign up for.
Yeah. Well, and in my opinion, your apprehensiveness to just plug customer data into Claude or whatever, I think that's a good headspace to be in, because there have been some incidences in recent memory where people have done that. They've put in really sensitive data into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever on these public models, and you're basically giving another company all that sensitive information, whether you realize it or not. And a lot of those companies take security pretty seriously, but again, it's only as far as you trust those things. A lot of people, like in the tech space, they will run their own local model so that they can put in that sensitive data, but then it's self-hosted on a server that they're maintaining themselves. I know some other big companies are doing that too. So what's your outlook on AI in general for your industry and for humanity as a whole?
It's kind of the same answer. So I'll just start with humanity as a whole. I think it's all about how we use it, individually, collectively. But it feels like we're at a point where if we all just kind of took a deep breath and looked around and dedicated a lot of our time and energy to helping each other and taking care of each other, we could probably get there. Like there's a lot of us and we're all interconnected and technology's come a long way in the last 20 years. And it to me, from where I'm sitting, it feels like everyone is still just running around going super fast. And if we all just took one day together and just like, God, found a body of water and sat by a tree and took deep breaths and just thought about what we could do to help each other, like we're right there. We're interconnected enough that we can pull it off. And AI amplifies that and makes it even more possible for all the logistics issues I'm not considering to get food over here and help over there. So from like a problem solving capability, it's a tremendous tool. When I look around, do I feel like that's going to be the next 24 months and that everyone's just going to collectively leverage AI to make the most societal good they can come up with? And I don't get that impression, but we were talking about content earlier and like magnetizing yourself to other like-minded people. The fun thing about just going on LinkedIn and saying, I believe in human sustainability and people should support, and everything's about the people. You end up talking to people who like genuinely are on that mission too. And so what I will say is I've been inspired over the last like couple of years talking to people and meeting people who are purpose driven and have a reason to wake up and make an impact every day. And the way they're leveraging and thinking about AI could genuinely change the world. And there are people who are going to prioritize coming up with apps and widgets and products that they can monetize for the safety and well-being of their family, and that's awesome and more power to them. I just hope that they choose to build in a direction where they're genuinely simultaneously taking advantage of capitalism but making the world a better place if they can.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another cohort that may use AI to exploit and benefit expeditiously. And I don't know who's going to win, but I know there's all those cohorts and an infinite number more that are going to use AI to keep pushing the world in the direction that they believe it should be pushed. And I'm just going to kind of wake up every day and fight for the side I think should win and cheer on the other people. And I don't know how it's going to play out though, because it's a powerful technology that can accomplish a lot, however you define success and whatever that means to you or your organization. So I think it accelerates things where things are going to be super exciting for the next 20 years. I just don't know yet if I'm using exciting to mean a good thing or a scary thing.
Yeah, it could go either way.
Okay.
Well,
and real estate, same deal. So like to apply that answer you asked about the industry too, it's the same. Like Mary and I will talk about what the BGP way is in property management in real estate. And she says it a little bit more eloquently than I do, but it's about providing, like, even if you're just managing apartments, those are people's homes. Those are, you have to take that seriously. Whether they have a mortgage or not doesn't impact that they go home at night and treat that apartment as their home. That's where their family is. That's where their pets are. That's where they get safety. That's where they eat dinner. That's like, you have to take it seriously and you have to leverage AI to be able to deliver a better product or service in line with, like, we believe we're providing homes, even if we're managing apartments, and AI has to support us in that journey. So that's not, you look at real estate and a lot of people are like going to a lockbox approach where you don't need to ever talk to a leasing agent because you can leverage technology to try and, amazing. That's all well and good. Is it providing the resident a better experience? Are they getting matched with the right apartment for them? But are you using technology to actually accomplish your vision, your mission, what you're going after? And if you are, and that vision and that mission benefits even one other person, I support you, more power to you. If it's just to make money, but you're making money to keep your family safe and put food on the table, I support you. If you're going to hurt other people in the way you go about things, I would ask you to kind of take a beat and introspect and figure out a different path for your life, because there's a better way to do things. And you're going to have to work hard no matter what. Might as well work hard in the direction of helping other people.
Mm-hmm. No, and
So
I
hopefully AI helps that. We'll
yeah,
see.
and I think that there's plenty of money to be made while not exploiting other people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
More
Anyway,
than you need. Yeah.
definitely. We're running up on time here. I got one last question for you. Um, what what advice would you give to other businesses to help them be good people and to have that people centric idea? Like how should people be going about that own or run businesses?
Um, I'm going to give a very confident and definitive answer, but I want to preface it by saying there's a million ways you could answer this.
Sure.
And I think it's always individual, and what it means to be, I think I said it earlier, but what it means to be a good person to me is it's a unique experience. It's individual. And as long as you know who you are and you act with integrity towards that, to me, you're being a good person. It doesn't mean you have to be nice all the time, but like, if I'm kind of a grump and I'm kind of a Scrooge around Christmas and I tell everyone that, and that's known about Nick, and then sometimes I'm a Scrooge around Christmas, I don't think that makes me a horrible person. I've been very honest about how I feel, like, so there's the integrity is a big part of it to me. And so because to me, to us, being a good person is so rooted in integrity. So our core values are be intentional, be accountable, keep going, be good people. The be intentional of it all is know who you are and know what you stand for and know what you're doing. So if you're a business owner, I'll just speak through the business lens for all of this, because there's the personal side, there's the business side. But if you're a business owner, even if you have a fantastic idea for how to make money, know why you're doing it. Know either the problem you're solving, know how you're helping people, know what it is that inspires you about that. Because if you want to run a company that truly is rooted in human sustainability, you're going to have to cast a vision and give all of the future people who interact with that company an understanding of the purpose of that company. Because if it resonates with them, great. Now you're building a community. So it starts with intention, because you have to state that intention. That becomes like the magnet for like-minded people. It repels people who don't necessarily think similarly. And when I say that, it's not like we think the exact same way. There's got to be diversity of thought. There's got to be conflict and challenging. But the reason you set that intention and attract similar enough people is because of that tension, because you're going to bump up against each other, and there has to be enough mutual respect and desire to hold yourself accountable to that intention. And then when you have that tension and when you do what the business requires you to do and bump up against each other in your different roles, if you're doing it, it's so tough, because if you're doing it right and you're really going towards an ambitious vision and trying to accomplish something meaningful, you're going to hit times where you just don't want to keep going. And so the whole key is, before you hit those times and before you build that team and before you start building something, make sure that that thing that you're chasing after is the thing that, even when you don't want to get out of bed and you're mad at everyone else at the company and things aren't going well at home and Zoe was up for 4 hours last night and the trash guy didn't pick up, like, when everything is Murphy's Law is hitting, you have to still be inspired enough by what you're doing that you keep going long enough to take that deep breath and reevaluate, was this right? So we always talk about it like, all right, be intentional who you are and what you're doing, be accountable, set up your system, you follow the level of your systems. So it's about discipline. It's not about motivation. You have to know how to set yourself up to succeed. Like I was saying earlier, I can't hold myself accountable. I can have all the visions in the world. I need a partner to hold me accountable. I need to tell someone what I'm doing and tell them how to come tell me when I'm not doing it, and then persevere, push through it. But there's always an exit ramp, and keep going. Keep going is not about kill yourself to get something done. Keep going is about pursuing an intention or a vision. The minute you realize you're no longer aligned with the intention you were chasing, that's okay. Take the exit. Stop, please relax. Go to the beach, have a beer, and then set a new intention and set that thing that, like, when you feel that way that you stopped, what would you have kept going for? And now you've got your new intention. You've reset your systems and you keep going towards that. So that was our process. It didn't. We had be good people. We had be intentional, be accountable, keep going, be good people from day one, and we had no idea how we were going to make money. It would genuinely, and that's like I was like, I was a CFO 2 months ago, so I will continue being a CFO. It was great, and then we went and found a client. We were a CFO, but through it all, it was like, yeah, but what are we doing? We want to build a team. We want to treat people right. We want to become what now, like I feel like we've gotten to where like we can have conversations like these. We can run a business, but talk about what it means to be good people while you run a business. And that, like, we just had to come in every day and stare at each other and say, be intentional, be accountable, be good people, keep going, be good people. Because, like, unless you repeat it every day and commit to it and take it seriously, it'll go away in a week. So it's just know who you are, know what your values are. Values and vision are not a marketing exercise. They are the thing that helps you build your team, helps you retain your team, and helps you accomplish your goals if they're real.
Definitely. Yeah, I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
so where can people find you?
Oh, yeah, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where I do most of my networking, if you will. Or if you're in Chicago, Northside Chicago is where I live my entire life in a little 1 mile radius. No, but LinkedIn is where we do a lot of our content. And then if anyone ever wants to reach out, Nick at bgpadvisory.com.
Cool. Well, I think that's all we have time for. Nick, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you all for listening or watching on whatever platform you're on. This podcast can be found on YouTube and Spotify. Thank you again, Nick. We'll see you later.
Thank you, sir. This was fun. I appreciate it.